So we got this server status component, but at the moment the status never changes. Of course, in this demo application, we're not actually grabbing that server status from any real servers. But I want to simulate that it changes every couple of seconds to some random value, so either to offline, online, or unknown. And to make that work, we need to set up an interval that executes some code that will change that current status value every couple of seconds. And we could do that with help of the constructor. In there, we can call the built-in setInterval function, which is provided by JavaScript. So that's of course not Angular or TypeScript specific. And setInterval then takes a function which it will execute every X amount of milliseconds. And that's the second argument you must pass to setInterval. The amount of milliseconds it should wait until it executes this function again. And here, let's say we want to wait 5 seconds, which would be 5,000 milliseconds. Now, every 5,000 milliseconds, every 5 seconds, therefore, this function will be executed by the browser when the application is running. So it's now inside of this function where I want to update current status. And here I want to generate a random value with math random. And I then simply want to check if random is smaller than 0.5, because math random will produce a value between 0 and 1, 1 excluded, so technically 0.9999. And if the value that was produced is smaller than 0.5, so in 50% of all cases in the end, I want to set this current status equal to online, let's say. Else if random is smaller than 0.9, so it's bigger than 0.5 but smaller than 0.9, in this case I want to set the current status to offline. And in the remaining 10% of cases, I want to set current status to unknown. Now, one thing you might want to consider doing here when working with hard-coded values like this is set up a type that only accepts these kinds of values. And you can do this in TypeScript by explicitly assigning a type to current status, which will disable its inference for this property, because by default it would infer that current status should be of type string. But here I want to be more specific that it's one of these 3 strings. And you can do that with TypeScript by disabling the inference for this property, by explicitly assigning a type. And then you can set up the 3 string values that should be accepted as a union type, so separated by that pipe symbol. And that tells TypeScript that current status must be a string that's either online, offline, or unknown. And if I had a typo down there, I would quickly see, because I would get an error, that the type offline written like that is not assignable to my type here. And that's why you might want to do that and be a bit more explicit, because it can help avoid typos like this. Well, but with that, we're setting up this interval. And now if you save that and you reload, you should see that this value should change from time to time. And it's random, so of course you can't tell how often it will change to which value. But you see now it's unknown, and eventually it will change again to offline, as it seems. At some point it might also be online. Now it is. So that's therefore working. But that wasn't even the main thing I wanted to do here, though it is an important step in the right direction.